guys, it's Lara here from LK Yoga, and today I'm going to talk you through Warrior 1. So we're going to approach Warrior 1 today from Tadasana Mountain Pose. It's slightly easier to step back from the pose than it is to come from Downward Facing Dog, but I will demonstrate at the end coming to Warrior 1 from Downward Facing Dog. So to start off, finding Tadasana Pose, the mountain pose at the top of our mat. We're going to make sure our feet are roughly hips distance, so sometimes it's nice to have a little jump. Wherever the feet land is going to be roughly feet different distance. Obviously straighten the feet up if you land with them very slightly wide, and we want to try and make sure we're roughly centered around the center line, as that's going to make this a little bit easier. It tends to be just about sort of like knuckles distance between the feet and the center line, more or less. So from here I'm going to step the left foot back. So just to sort of give you an idea of where I've started on my mat, I'm going to take my big toe to be in line with the top placement marker on either foot. And I'm going to step the left foot back to the 45-degree back placement. So I'm going to step back to here. Ooh, I'm not finding my balance today. And then what I'm going to do is slowly twist the hips forward ever so slightly. And then I'm going to start to bend the front leg towards 90. I rarely take it much deeper than about this. You come to a point where you feel a nice stretch in the calf on the back leg, and that's probably about as deep as you want to come into this pose. Obviously, as you practice for a little bit longer, you'll be able to come a bit deeper. So I make sure that my left foot is roughly on the 45-degree line. If your leg's slightly tight, you might have it a little bit closer in or a little bit further out, depending on your hip alignment, which side of the hip are tight. So obviously take all of these cues with a pinch of salt, as always. And then I'm going to make sure that that front foot is about wrist distance, and sort of take the knuckles down from the center line. And from here, as I said, we're going to start to bend the front leg. So again, we have the same issue as with Warrior 2, that if the foot is a little bit too close in and the knee is tracking right out over the foot, then the quad's going to be working in overdrive and you're not going to get very much from the pose. So we want to try and make sure that if anything, the knee is behind the ankle, and we're going to slowly work our way towards knee stacking on top of the ankle, so knee is above the ankle. I'm going to keep the hips twisted towards the front, so you will feel a bit of a twisting sensation down the front of the left leg. That is perfectly fine and is actually helping to stretch out the quad muscle ever so slightly here. I'm going to press down through the heel on the back foot, and you'll also want to try and press the whole foot down, so you feel the most of the pressure on the inside edge of the foot more than likely. We're going to try and really press the whole foot down here as much as we can. We're going to make sure the shoulders are nice and broad. So I always say to think about maybe ever so slightly just squeezing the shoulder blades together. So what that does is make sure our chest is nice and open, and we're going to draw the shoulders back. So we're going to squeeze to draw back. The arms are going to come up overhead. Fingers are nice and active, so we're reaching out through the fingers. And then we're going to make sure, again, the shoulders are relaxed. So shoulders aren't up here, they're nice and relaxed. Hands are facing inwards, and then again we're going to make sure that on the front foot we're not clenching the toes. So I've talked about this before. We want to make sure that the toes are nice and relaxed, because if the toes on the front foot is scrunched up, that's just going to transfer tension all the way through the leg to the hip. You're not going to sink into the pose. It's never going to feel comfortable or as comfortable as it could, but you're going to be fighting it to a degree. So as we're tired, we start to cling on with our toes. So try not to do this if you can. So just taking the arms back overhead one more time, gazing forward. So this is the sort of position that we're looking for here. You can potentially start to draw that knee a little bit deeper, but again, just want a nice good stretch down the back of the left leg, probably most intense through the calf muscle in the lower leg. So if we're coming to this pose from Downward Facing Dog, just to demonstrate, so I found my positioning with Downward Facing Dog that we have discussed in prior videos. Then I'll come over to the right side just to even things up. So I'm going to lift the right leg, and then I'm going to step the right foot to the top of the mat, and again I'm going to take it about wrist distance from the center line. I'm going to turn the left foot to 90 degrees. Just realised I didn't even things up. I've stayed on this side. Oh well, it's easier for you to see, I guess. And then maybe walking the feet a little bit further forward so we can get a deep bend in the front leg. So really simple. It's just that in terms of finding those placement lines to start with, sometimes it's nice just to step back. So hopefully this has been a useful tutorial for you. I will just one more time take myself into Warrior 1, so arms come up overhead, chest is nice and lifted, drawing the shoulders back, and starting to bend that front leg nice and deep. Again, just as far as we can feel, there's getting a reasonable stretch in the calf muscle on the back leg. So hopefully this has been helpful. As always, if you'd like to pop me a message, then you can reach out via our website. Email address can be found on there. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Just pop it, hey Lara, whatever you want to say, and it'll find its way to me. Alternatively, you can always ask any of your yoga teachers. As I always like to say, every yoga teacher will give very slightly different cues. And none are necessarily right or wrong. It's just the things that have maybe helped us that we'll then use to help you. So it's really good to go and speak to other people as well, and get their opinion on different poses, to sort of find what works for you in terms of cues. And as always, everybody is different, so don't expect your warrior one to look like your neighbours. Just make sure it feels good in your body and you're in roughly the right positioning, and then you're going to be most of the way there. So thanks again for watching and have a great day. Namaste.